So you might wonder how a 60-year-old political consultant from Orange County, California, found herself in the midst of the Iraqi war, creating and running programs that would help the Iraqi women participate in whatever economic freedom there was going to be based on the war. I felt this was the chance of a lifetime for me to put up or shut up, both as an American and as a woman. But Iraq wasn't my first brush with emerging democracies. I've done political training and organizational development, which you alluded to, in Guatemala and Sri Lanka, in the former Soviet Union, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. I'd been to Indonesia doing seminars for women on how to run for political office and how to sometimes they have 47 parties on the ballot, and my job was to help them merge those parties into coalitions that would make sense. And so, I was sent by an organization out of Washington. I did it as a volunteer. And so I've been, in a lot of places, but never in a place that was a war zone. So women in Iraq were pushed out of the workforce. They had restrictions on mobility. They couldn't drive anywhere. They didn't have access to jobs anymore. Women and girls disproportionately affected by economic sanctions. They lacked access to food, healthcare, and education. Iraqi women, though, are phenomenal. They really are. They're tough and very clever. And I think most of the women in the Middle East that I've met are very clever. It's evidenced in Iraq by the fact that the day that we were all watching on TV and Saddam's statue was pulled off of that pillar, there were women political activists in Iraq meeting that very same day all over Iraq, figuring out how they were going to get their rights back, how they were going to shore up their rights. And so instead of being out in the street screaming and yelling, which they were all meeting and figuring out what their next move was going to be. I thought that was pretty phenomenal. To me, it's incredible because, here in the United States, we only have 18% representation of women in our government. Rwanda has 49%. South Africa has 50%. The United States, the land of the free, home of the brave, 18%. Doesn't that make you feel horrible? It makes me angry every time I hear it. I think the most important accomplishment was raising the level of confidence for the Iraqi women, because they were battered. They were battered and afraid. And I did one seminar on public speaking because they're very shy with American men, and it was American men that were giving out the contract. So I used to say, you have to go in there with your shoulders straight. You have to talk like you mean it. You have to be confident. If you're not confident, then they're not going to hire you.
I have always felt that it is my purpose to try to give people a voice who do not have a voice, to try to let people know that what they have done has significance, that what they do matters, that whatever it is, that somebody is listening, that what they have done will not be forgotten. And it's time to rebuild and start new and start fresh. And there was hope. There was absolutely nothing, but there was hope. And that is something that I find in war zones everywhere. That wherever there is hope, there is life. And it's the same thing that in your personal life. It's like if you have hope, you can keep going. It's when the hope is lost. And if you need to, if it's every day, it's getting up and it's saying, you know what? It's not all that bad. And I have hope. That's where you know that you can get through the daily BS, the daily crap, the daily stuff that maybe doesn't matter so much, but it seems so important. You would think that this would be easy. I kind of straddle two different worlds. I straddle the corporate and news directors and people who do not understand what the heck I'm doing. And I straddle Again, this is not literally, but I'm kind of juggling two different fences. Not straddling, bad choice of words. So, and then the military side, same kind of thing. These people do not necessarily understand what it is that I'm doing, where I'm coming from, what my agenda is. The funny thing with the news directors is it's like, oh yeah, but when I'll pitch a story or such, or a project, go through the same kind of process that I'm sure that many of you have to go through. It's like, here's something that we would like to do. Here is a project. Here is a budget. Here is a, whatever. Very similar, but completely different worlds. The news director will say, yeah, but, didn't we already see that with like Demi Moore running with a log on the beach? And I'm like, that's a movie. That was G.I. Jane. It's a movie. It's Hollywood. It's not real. So, but, all these different, trying to cut through preconceived notions. I just wanted to give you one example of a public affairs officer who did me a great favor. In my persistent way of, I'm going to get a story, I'm going to track these people down, I'm going to try to gain access to these types of folks, I made a habit of calling a special operations command, I won't say which service, basically, every week or two. And after about, 3-4 months, a lieutenant colonel in charge of the public affairs office for the Special Operations Command in Florida happened to say to me, you know what, Alex? You might as well just stop calling because we got our budget approved by Congress. We don't need you. We don't need you. We don't need the media. We got our budget. And I thought, okay, first off, I was like, oh, but then it was like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for being honest. We just stopped wasting each other's time. This was the best gift that she could give me, even though it's horrific. But the best thing is like, you know what? This is a much more efficient use of our time if we just talk straight with each other, let each other know where we are coming from, what we need, what we want. Let's cut through the crap. Let's get the job done. And I said, okay, well, thank you. So I'll call you in a year. I got a story a year later. Got to finish up a story that I'd been working on. It was very difficult to get. He saw something. I don't think that's an egomaniac thing for me to say. He saw something in me, and now it's my responsibility to live up to that, to follow through, to continue the mission. That was the last thing he said to me was, continue the mission, Charlie Mike. Everybody in this room has a mission. Jim told us today, you just might have to find what that mission is if you haven't found it already, but everybody in this room has a mission. And if you stick to what you think is important, remember what's in your gut. All this other stuff outside, listening to, Kardashians, who cares? But all the noise, the crap, the political junk that goes on in offices, office politics, does any of that ever actually really matter? What matters is in here. And knowing that every day you can go home and feel good about how you reacted, how you treated somebody else. Did you make somebody feel special? Did you make somebody feel worthy? Everybody in this room has the opportunity to let other people know that what they do in life matters.